Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Game Changer. I'm Maryam Zia. As we stand on the brink of AI generated revolution and future, of course, there are unprecedented challenges that AI brings as well. When we talk about terrorist use and terrorist organizations using AI to propagate their messages, which is posing unprecedented threats to the global security. During the past decades, we have seen that how AI has been integrated into a number of industries and fields from health to security. And the global AI market is expected to surpass $100 billion by 2025. These are huge figures, but at the same time, there are a number of challenges when we talk about terrorism and the use of AI by terrorist organizations like IS and Al Qaeda. In today's program, we will be talking about how prepared is the international community to cope with these emerging threats and challenges, and is AI the future of terrorism? What needs to be done to mitigate these challenges? We will be talking about all this in today's program. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the studios by Mr. Rohan, who is a digital media expert and developer. Welcome to the program. We're also joined by Mr. Sheharyar, who is an analyst. Welcome to the program. And we're joined online by Mr. Wasif Ayub, who is a cybercrime scientist and a CEO Green TV app. Welcome to the program. So, Mr. Rohan, let me start with you. When we talk about these emerging threats, what are the key indicators that tell us that these AI and generative AI is being used by terrorists?
Thank you for inviting, first of all. And a very key question for a start. Basically, what what difference is that in the initial stages, people would have to learn on their own the skills to develop something. It can be a bomb, it can be intelligent bomb, it can be a chemical bomb or something, anything that can contribute in terrorizing society. But now, since AI, we have like unlimited recruited skilled people. They have artificial intelligence, right? And one person, let's say one human being, can supervise millions of AI bots, right? And each bot is trained for a specific purpose, right? One can brute force into different government or organizational networks, right? And the second one can after penetration, it can create an echo chamber, right, to transmit propaganda and change minds and give a new opinion to the masses, right? And this can convert even those audiences that are not much radical. Why? Because AI bot will first study the user profile, their habits, their natures, and what their political or social point of view is toward the society, right?
And they tailor their messages.
Exactly. And then they can fake out the messages, or they can use the deep fake technology. It can all trigger by some automated system, and so on. Like we have autonomous cars and stuff like that. Hacking is the first place, and to hack the brute forcing, like guessing million times. So AI can do that faster than human mind.
But at the same time, Rohan, we know that there are safety protocols at, of course, not of that level, but still there are safety protocols. So how terrorists are able to surpass those AI safety protocols?
As I told you, like, see, machine learning is a skill, is a field, is a knowledge, right? I know if you have opportunity, you can learn that in universities or even on internet. Now, same knowledge is provided to the terrorist society as well. Those people who are radically or extremist, they can learn from that and they can create their own systems now. You just need to recruit one highly skilled person into the extremist mindset, and they can develop their own tool. Now, the question is, AI system, those are in market, they are limited, restricted. They have some restriction on that. Okay, you're not gonna generate explosive information or stuff like that. But adversarial AIs, let's say if I have a machine, I can train him on my own with my own purpose. So that AI, that artificial intelligence will be a sort of extremist. I can train him like a kid, right? So it's called machine learning. Once you have a technology, you can train that any way you want it to be.
Right, right. But Sheharyar, at the same time, what are the key motivation for terrorist organizations to adopt these emerging technologies, especially generative AI and artificial intelligence?
So Maryam, first of all, we have to like see the history of technology that the terrorist organizations have already adapted and used. So Al Qaeda, I would say ISIS is notorious for using recruitment, social media for recruitment across the globe, even in Pakistan and other countries that have been under their influence. So there are like three main purposes how they basically use social media for dissemination. So one is propaganda, obviously, to disseminate their point of view, their version of reality and the way the political or geopolitical situation is emerging. So they can have videos that basically pass on information, misinformation, or even disinformation. Then second, their main purpose is recruitment, on how to basically spread their message to a vast audience and to see which sort of audience, as our expert mentioned, responds to those messages, and then they can get the tailored messages from them. And the third is cyber warfare, on how to basically use this technology to develop more AI that can be more targeted, and even develop weapon systems now. We've seen in various geopolitical contestations that are happening across the globe, where a lot of organizations are
Cyber
developing
warfare is another
technology,
arena that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, Sheharyar, what are some of the advantages, in your opinion, AI provides to the terrorist at this point in time, that traditional methods, they are not using traditional methods as such? How it is different, like when we talk about recruitment strategies, how it is different from the in-person or other ways of traditional methods of recruitment by terrorist organizations?
So Maryam, when it comes to application of technology, I would say the sky is the limit, and the whole world is your oyster. If you have a mindset that is set upon recruitment or spreading disinformation, you can use AI to develop models that can purposefully do anything that you want. So if you want to spread a targeted message to a large young population, you can easily do that. You can generate videos, you can generate deep fake videos, you can generate images, you can also edit images and real life footage to suit your needs.
Right, and that reminds me of the Moscow attack recently and AI generated broadcast. So what are implications of such broadcasts, especially can you tell us in the context of recent Moscow attack, and how AI generated broadcast news was aired by the terrorist organization?
So that was a very sophisticated use of AI technology, and I'll
the
just
production value,
production value. But like now, production value is not really a question, because you don't need a lot of human resource that is like technically sound or has a background of productions or communications. AI will do it for you. And the biggest advantage is that you don't need a lot of human resource. You don't need to recruit. You don't need to give them equipment. So you have a system and lesser amount of people and more propaganda that can be done at the same time. And that's a core advantage. If you even look at recent disinformation campaigns, for example, the UK riots, and now as the investigation has led to, a lot of like people were conducting those disinformation campaigns from outside the UK. And there is also an investigation going on in Pakistan right now on the websites that basically caused this disinformation, which led to a lot of like riots. And then when we see that very recently, I think like 3 or 4 days ago, Mr. Pavel, who was the founder of the Telegram app, he was arrested in Paris in connection to, I would say, the lack of regulation on his Telegram. And a lot of people who do a lot of research on the propaganda that terrorist organizations use, the first app that basically comes into question is Telegram. Because of the high, I would say, standards of like security or like that app boasts about. It's being used by a lot of like terrorist organizations.
That takes me to my next question, Rohan, that what measures are in place when we talk about the detection of such messages that are threatening to a larger audience, or to neutralize such messages that are AI generated?
Exactly. Okay. So basically, there are some systems, but not widely used, right? Because there is no regulation yet globally, in place to handle such situations. Maybe developed countries, they have some monitoring systems that they basically also use AI to, because on a mass level, when some propaganda is generated, right? A person to person or a team of people, they cannot, ASAP control that. It can spread, right? They can, control the aftermaths of that. But if you are using AI, like some European states are using AI to monitor those systems, right? Like in China, they call it a Great Firewall, right? It's also powered by AI. Now, what AI powered based system do is they see the pattern. Let's say today some fake news or disinformation is launched in a form of a campaign, right? Immediately AI bots will start learning from those patterns and start shutting those down. It can be technically shut down or it can be narratively shut down, right? Those bots can defensively create arguments against those agendas and answer those in comments or stuff like that as a counter argument. And if those they get exceeded in their propaganda, then they will be shut down by the networks or those, once the proper result is generated by the AI bots. So AI is also fighting with the AI. It's the difference is the
so terrorism
exactly,
and then counter-terrorism.
exactly, because you can raise your own AI.
Right, but at the same time, Rohan, is there a system in place, or do we need a system that can detect the difference between AI-generated messages by the terrorists and human-generated messages? Because we have seen a lot of messages where leaders of the world, like Mr. Obama, is singing IS songs.
Yes.
So, which is very, threatening to the vulnerable audience. Even the use of cartoons, singing their songs
Exactly.
and propagating those
Exactly.
messages.
See, there is a very bleak line between this right now. I mean, you cannot, distinguish instantly that this is a fake news or this is a original news or a real news, right? And the systems, again, we do not have such system in our countries and mostly globally, because there is no global consensus on creating such, systems to monitor worldwide disinformation or fake news or stuff like that, right? Let's say some president of a country just comes on air using a deep fake voice and deep fake visuals, and it wage war on some state,
Yes.
right? So immediate action would be panic. People would go haywire, and it will take time to contain the situation, right?
So how is there a way at this point in time that we can distinguish between the human generated content and the AI generated content, especially when we talk about leaders of the world, because we witnessed a lot of examples, especially in past elections this year?
Yes, not yet. We do not have such systems in worldwide right now. We only have some policies and some regulations, right? Like if somebody is doing something, we can arrest them, we can detain them, we can question them, stuff like that, right? There is no system that automatically pinpoints somebody and arrest them or shut it down.
Right. And let me talk to Mr. Wasif Ayub, who has joined us. Mr. Wasif, when we talk about terrorist use of AI, how do you think that they are using it to recruit of course, vulnerable populations in the world, and what kind of policies are needed at this point in time to counter those recruitment drives?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Am I audible for you? On
Yes.
Skype or on call?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, well. So, you have combined actually two major aspects of that topic. First of all, definitely AI is creating impact actually due to as far as AI is doing easiness for example, like in the regular task in the regular world. It is actually making ease for example, like terrorists and the robbers as well. So, what the major use the guys are actually doing is the thing if someone is spreading, for example, like fake news, but the source of fake news, actually the videos and the audios, are impossible to generate without AI. if AI will be listening me, will be, for example, like recording the videos of me, then it can generate the fake news. For example, I am the president of some country and I am announcing some sort of like the thing, and it is not the real, and it is, for example, like it is the fake generated by AI. Then it can make a great impact on my audience and my country and my followers, and definitely it will be used for the terrorist activity as well. So this is what is the main like point.
Right, right. And Sheharyar, when we talk about the threats of and challenges of cyber terrorism, is the world prepared to counter this?
So Maryam, I don't think the world is prepared, one, and I don't think the magnanimity or the size of the problem has been identified as yet. So the biggest impact that I see when terrorist or extremist organizations use AI to propagate their nefarious designs, the first erosion would be between the trust between the government, the citizenry and the media as well. So people would have a very difficult time on trusting information, where this information is coming from. Is it authentic? Is the information that we are getting from the right source? Is the video that we are watching, is it like accurate or not? The person giving the message in his own voice or his own video, is that real or not? So the whole premise between governance systems, the backbone of that is that the state is basically looking after the interests of the people, and the people basically trust whatever the state is saying. And once that trust is eroded, then it would be a big issue when it comes to how to uphold democracy, how to basically cater to security threats disseminating from within your borders and outside your borders. So when it comes to
Right.
cyber terrorism, when it comes to the use of AI, the biggest issue is, geographical location. Where is that particular act or that attack coming from? It could be anywhere in the world.
Right, and when we talk about, earlier we discussed about the recruitment drives by these terrorist organizations. So, of course, there are ways to counter those drives as well, especially when we talk about recruitment of vulnerable populations by these terrorist organizations. So, do you think there are some ethical concerns that might arise from these counter-terrorist strategies that might be used by the governments as well?
So Maryam, even if long before we even go towards some sort of counter-terrorism that basically caters to the use of AI, first we will have to come up with this new social contract in which there needs to be some sort of cooperation between AI companies, tech companies and the government. So that again in itself is a big ethical question on how much regulation should be required. Should there be a global consensus, like a global framework on how to regulate?
Where does the boundary of personal freedom of speech ends, and of course,
Exactly.
that of course raises
So-
a lot of ethical and moral questions.
So the biggest victim of regulation would be the same industry that we have to use to counter these terrorist threats, because as Rohan has also mentioned, the terrorist organizations will continue on expanding their operations, they will continue on developing more smart systems, and they would be using more sophisticated AI frameworks to make their operations more sophisticated.
Right.
At the same time, we or the government and the partnership between the government and tech industry would be focusing on regulation that curtails any steps that can be taken to counter those terrorist organizations. So this will be a big, I would say, a gray line in which we would have to tread very carefully on where the personal freedoms or the freedom to develop these technologies and to freedom to counter the terrorist threats, and where would be that sweet spot that we need to work on.
And Rohan, when we talk about need of collaboration between governments and these tech companies, how do you think that could be done so that we could counter these emerging AI-driven threats?
First of all, we need, it's a huge overhaul for our society personally, because we lack in the knowledge for such fields,
So
right?
we are not at this point in time talking specifically about Pakistan, but when we talk about
Globally,
even the developed world as well, from where these technologies are emerging.
Exactly. So again, the knowledge. My point was that globally we need to participate in such conventions that world is, arranging for AI. We and country like us, we need to be partner with the countries who are developing AI, who are sharing knowledge on AI, so we can be in the race of development of AI, and we can participate in the policy making or agenda making around AI. We do not have that. We do not have minds. Most countries also, despite European or developed countries, a large portion of the world, they still not adaptive to the AI, or they are not using AI or regulating AI at a government level.
So more than 50% of the world's economy is now moving towards AI.
Yeah.
And of course, this is expected to be a huge
Yes.
AI economy is going to be over $100 billion in 2025.
Yeah.
So of course, we need collaboration between
Exactly.
the tech companies and the government. So when we talk about Wasif, these terrorist threats, could AI predict from where these terrorist threats are emerging, and could we encounter those threats, or we still need time to work on those strategies?
Yes, actually, 100% no. Actually, it's a continuous war. Like we need to collect the real data in more realistic way. We need to improve our algorithms as well. Because the continuous war, both parties are working continuously. Terrorists are definitely improving their ways and strategies. So we need to there's some sort of improve our data, improve our algorithm to make it more better, to reach the more better results.
Right. Let me take the same question to you, Rehan. Could AI at this point in time predict from where the terrorist threat is emerging, and how effective is it in this regard?
Yes, it can. It can if it's trained properly well, right? Initially, you were talking. The first question you were talking about was about the generative AI that me, you, and my brother, they are using as a front end users. Like, what is the recipe of biryani, or what is the recipe of this? What is the channel time? But when we jump into to creating AI and training that, creating our own machines, independent from the consumer AI applications, then we can train them to learn patterns, right? And yes, AI systems can learn about the patterns, as I told you earlier.
About predicting.
Exactly. It will see the global financial patterns, business patterns, right? And these all terrorist extremist ideology, because the bot's gonna be instantly going to be learning about all the profiles and all the information that is leaking from this sector, right? And then it can create a pattern, right? Okay, this target is talking about this. I have collected information about this demography or geography, and people have mindset of attacking somebody in this area, over the top, and then AI can predict. It will not even confirm you about, okay, we are going to be having a problem, but AI can give you the pattern. Okay, I have listed this down, and this leads to this issue that can crumble the financial system of some country, or crash down the government by some fake news. So we all at this moment we can train our AI systems to read the patterns and give us a consolidated report, and then human mind, they can evaluate that.
Right. And Sheharyar, when we talk about international cooperation, what is significance of international cooperation regarding countering these terrorist threats that are being generated by using AI?
So Maryam, when it comes to international cooperation, right now it's lacking, but it's obviously the need of the hour. And international framework to basically have some sort of regulation that is accepted by most of the countries would again be a big challenge. The main, I would say, contestation that I basically feel is that geopolitics is playing a very important role in even regulating AI or tech-based innovations. As we see even now, when the founder of Telegram was arrested in France, it became more of a geopolitical issue rather than a security or a governance or a regulation issue. And this will obviously play a very important role. The impact of this whole exercise would be that a lot of countries would not be coming on the same page in terms of how to regulate AI. They would basically say this is like probably the US or the Western countries strategy to curtail our development of technology. China could say it, like Russia could say it. Again, the whole issue between state-owned enterprises and private sector, even though private sector can also be used as a partner to develop counter, terrorism efforts, and they can support the governments like the US model, where Google and a lot of other companies basically develop defense systems that support the US government in their like foreign policy. And again, when it comes to China, if you look at their technology, like various companies that are state-owned, they have been curtailed or stopped from developing 5G systems in Western countries, because they basically see it as a national security issue in which any company that is state-owned should not have access to so much information, in which they can also develop their own countermeasures or use information from the users to develop systems that can be used anywhere.
Rohan, how should international regulatory frameworks needs to be evolved when we talk about countering these terrorist threats?
Obviously, first of all these governments globally, they need to have a consensus and a partnership.
That's not going to happen. So we have to be realistic.
This is again, ideal situation is the remedy for this, right? But hypothetically, if they all become a partner with tech companies, then they control some aspect of power within that technology, right?
To identify those messages that are threatening to a larger audience.
Exactly. Let's say, and for now, even my brother Sheharyar, he can train his own machine to do tasks that he want him to do. But if globally we have some regulation on the AI use and development, right, we can restrict, okay, you need to be registered on this form to start learning your own machine or teaching your own machine for the specific purpose. Don't tell us everything about your machine learning. What are you going to be training your machine for? Just give us the assurity that it's not going to be for the use of extremism or stuff like that. So regulations is the most important thing. AI cannot control AI. Like you cannot develop a system that work on AI and it just go and shut down accounts. Ultimately, you're going to be needing a team of intelligent people who can they are enough tech savvy. They can judge fake videos, because even if it is fake, now I am like a video guy, right? I can see the artifact generated within the AI.
So can you tell us some tips for our viewers how to identify those fake videos that we keep on getting on our WhatsApp messages or keep on seeing on our social media, because it creates a lot of anxiety in a number of people when such images emerge?
See, the one example is the cryptocurrency in Pakistan. It's booming, right? But we do not have any regulation or proper knowledge about it. Let's say if I go and tell my bot to generate 1 million tweets about falling of some cryptocurrency, everybody gonna buy that. It will just disrupt the market, right? So becoming intelligent enough, again, we lack the knowledge about it. We do need a knowledge and a study in our education sector that gives you the idea of judging what's this video is generated with.
So can you give us some tips how to identify?
The one thing for the fake videos, it's always about the emotions, right? When we human, we talk, we have multiple emotions on our face, right? We make gestures. Now in AI sometimes doesn't know how to create a gesture and match with that emotion, right? So if I am watching some AI video, I would definitely say, okay, Obama is smiling at this point and is talking about war. It's not politically correct, right? So we need to check the facial features and voice synchronization with the facial features, right? They can be artifacts like, let's say, if some fake video generated, hair would just move from here to here in an instant, right? Same goes with the voice, same goes with the colors, cause it's AI generated. It's still perfecting itself. So you need to have an eye for the detail and the knowledge about the subject, and that can be given in your institutions that we mostly lack in, right?
Right. And Wasif, when we talk about of course implementing international policies and regulations regarding AI, in your opinion, what are some of the most significant challenges in that regard?
The making regulation and implementation, these barriers will definitely slow down the regular processes. For example, the current example is our government have implemented some firewall. This is definitely affecting our online like forums and connectivity with the clients, and even I'm giving interview to you, and I'm unable to talk to you in video form. So if we will be, or even the international community, which is actually creating some sort of laws and implementing. So we need to take care of the regular challenges which we can have after the implementation of these barriers. So the solution is actually we should do some sort of like homework as a country. We should involve some private sector, educational sector, scientists, and the people who have some sort of like knowledge, who have some sort of creativity about that. We should involve them. We should make some good rules on our local homework, and then we should connect with some sort of that ecosystem which is working on the same thing. We should share our knowledge. We should get the benefit from the others' work as well, and we should implement the practices which is doable, like not that sort of practices which will definitely impact the regular work and the economy as well.
Right. And Rohan, how can we balance the need for civil liberties and personal freedoms with the need to counter these dissemination of messages by terrorist organizations?
For starter, we need to place some flexible policies for or the audience. People do need to need access to these AI tools, because it's a modern thing. It's gonna be the future.
Because
right?
it can help in education and a number of things as well.
Exactly. I just took a picture of my my daughter's homework and sent it to GPT and told her to check it and make a quiz out of it. Right? So people are using ChatGPT. What we need is, number one, again, I'm going to be stressing on that, education about this subject, right? And then proper regulation and policies, how a person can access and use these chat-based or AI-based solutions. Like we are currently installing firewalls and creating disruption for our freelancers and public. Even I cannot receive messages for quite some time. Right? There's a a bottleneck in that. But if we have proper policies based on the use of AI and we market those through governmental, government sectors, we can register the users who are using AIs in specific purpose, not like on an end user level, but people who are engineers and creating AI systems. Government needs to regulate those, make flexible, not to disrupt them again, because we have tendency to just push the button and shut it off. Watching the not watching the consequences of it. So we need a policies, and we need to facilitate our audience in learning those technologies and perfecting them based on our requirement. Let's say AI system that is created in Europe, it will cater the features that needs in Europe and its issues. We need our own machine learned systems, independent of those, who can create decisions and walk our audience based on the policies that created.
And Rohan, at the same time, when we talk about counter-terrorism strategies, what kind of ethical dilemmas, in your opinion, can arise from the use of such technologies or strategies to counter terrorism?
If it's poorly designed and poorly trained, then it can block a lot of things. Loss of communication will go into abyss, right? You're not gonna get proper information.
Can it also lead to wrongful profiling of individuals as well? When we talk about counter-terrorism efforts?
Very nice point. Let's say I am an AI hacker, right? I can penetrate into the security surveillance system of government, right? And I can put somebody's misinformed, I can issue a warrant for somebody.
Right.
Who didn't do anything.
So wrongful
exactly.
profiling by AI is possible.
AI,
and what needs to be done to prevent this?
Again, the policies and the proper machines installed in our system, those who are learned to decrypt this kind of issues, right? AI can fight with AI because AI is a million times smarter than an average person, right? We are going to be working on one single task at a time, but AI can do multiple tasks at a time. So
but
we
at the
need
same time, it needs a lot of regulation.
exactly, regulation is the first thing, because at the first step is to add policies and regulation. Without that, we cannot contain the speed of it. But again, talking about adding the regulation and policies, I'm not advocating restriction, unnecessary restrictions on our users. It creates panic and it creates frustrations, right? And that generates more negatively skilled people who exploit the system to get what they want, right?
Right, and Sheharyar, that takes me to my next question, that is that could AI eventually replace human operatives, especially when we talk about these terrorist organizations, in propagating their messages and agendas, and in their recruitment drives, and in, of course, their funding drives as well? Do you think that's going to happen?
Maryam, even if we go beyond terrorist organizations, I think the whole international workforce will be replaced in the next 30 to 40 years. So it's not just about terrorist organizations, it's about regular jobs that people do, you and I. These will probably be replaced in the next...
I'm talking about the real threat here. Because this is going to be causing a huge, of course, damage and chaos to the social system and societies as well.
Definitely, definitely. The more the human resource that is used by terrorist organizations, the more there are chances of getting caught. The more you use AI and computer-based systems to develop your propaganda or recruitment techniques, the more safe you are, more anonymity you have, and it's very difficult to pinpoint where that activity has been generated. Even if it's been generated by some obscure geographical location, it's very difficult for one country to basically go through the regulatory or legislative frameworks to even get that person caught. So it's a huge issue globally that we are facing, and I think the challenges will grow larger in number in terms of developing international frameworks on how to basically even counter this.
Right. Rohan, in your opinion, how should Pakistan prepare for this inevitable threat of use of AI in terrorist activities?
Again, the root cause: replace our old rotting education system with something modern, intelligent, right? We train our young generation with more vigilant minds. They can participate in creating systems and evaluate systems,
because it poses a huge threat to children.
Exactly. Unless we do not do that, we're just gonna be going to China or some country and buying expensive system and installing that in our country, and then facing the issues after its installations. We need people who can create a system. Everybody can create a system if it's learned person, right? We need education, number one. Education to create such systems, evaluate those systems, and install the systems in our own country by our own people, because we know the requirement of that. Okay. So this is the only way, I think, after the policies, we can contain and cater this technology. Otherwise,
right.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Otherwise, it's going to be a slow evolving process, and it's going to be a problem for us, because majority of us, sorry to say, we are not that literate, right? We learn in colleges and university just to get our GPAs and numbers so we can get jobs and eventually get married. That's it, right? So we need intelligent education, right? So people can create our systems and install those, and we
so
get
social
enriched.
awareness campaigns
Exactly.
are important in this regard as well, and especially to protect young children and, of course, vulnerable people from these messages that they are getting from these organizations. But at the same time, Rohan, is it possible to completely neutralize the threat of AI generated messages, or is it going to be a continuous battle?
It's going to be a continuous battle, and again, we will only win if we make our audience, our people, intelligent enough, those who can question the logic behind the fake news. Let's say I got a fake news, I need to have an urge to verify that. If we do a campaign, through a government sector, you spend money on that and educate people. Okay, question this stuff. Question. This is the department. If you find such question,
it comes back to personal responsibility.
Exactly. But we, again, in our society, politically or in society, we have such stakes that sometimes we cannot do such campaigns, because we are already involved in such issues at some points. So we need to be cleaner on the inside and outside, and then we need to educate our masses so they can, you know, differentiate in what's real and what's fake, and if it's fake, where it's taking us, what is the impact. They can, you know, calculate that. Or we create our own AI system that read, you know, if I find some misinformation, I send it to that system, it evaluates and email me back. Okay, this is not the fact, this is the fact, this is the news.
Right.
Because AI can individually reach out to every people in Pakistan or globally.
Right. And lastly, Sheharyar, in your opinion, how should Pakistan be prepared to, of course, this emerging threat of use of AI by terrorist organizations?
So again, Maryam, first of all, we have to, and I agree with Rehan that we have to change the way our education system is designed. It should inculcate more critical thinking and analysis, and a lot of like digital literacy is needed. When it comes to spreading propaganda or disinformation or hate speech campaigns, people are only responding to something that like resonates to their school of thought and the way they basically perceive the world or their worldview. And AI just like brings that information to that person who actually wants to see it, he wants to hear it, and he wants to act upon it. So first, like the whole overhaul of our education system is a must, it's a requirement. I'm also afraid that if the government starts going towards massive regulation of this sector, this would create more damage than a constructive approach. And again, we always have to keep in mind that our government needs to learn on how to proportionally respond to a threat that is like emanating. The response of banning or like curtailing some technology, first of all, it never helps, and it never even like gives you the desired result that you're looking for, and it robs the population of developing their own systems and their own techniques and their own skills.
But at the same time, we do need regulations
Definitely,
to, of
but
course, protect those vulnerable populations.
Proportional regulation, not an all-right ban that our government is famous for.
Not a blanket ban.
Yes, exactly.
Of course. Thank you very much, Mr. Sheharyar Khan, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Mr. Rohan Zakie, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Mr. Wasif Ayub, for joining us in today's program. As we conclude today's discussion, it is of course clear that artificial intelligence has a lot of benefits for the world and for the societies, but at the same time it poses a number of risks. So it needs to be done, what needs to be done by the international community is to have regulations that can of course counter these emerging threats of AI that is being used by terrorist organizations. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care. Allah Hafiz.